Out of all the hoods you could run into while living in Koreatown, Los Angeles, one barrio wasn't the most fond of me. And if you couldn't tell by the title, it was MS-13. If you guys haven't checked out my last video I just dropped on Salvatrucha, I'll have the video linked in the description below. But anyways, on with the story. I didn't always live in MS territory, but as the rent kept going up in K-Town, my mom and I slowly started moving from the nicer side to the ghetto side. We didn't grow up poor by any means. My mom was definitely making it happen for me. She had a little cell phone store inside of Bonito Swap Meet, located on 6th and Alvarado. And her shop was like literally right in front. And she spoke fluent Spanish. This was the only way she was able to really survive in that type of area, selling cell phones to the Latino community and shit. And shout out to my mom, because I have no idea where I'd be without her. She watches all of my YouTube videos, so if you're watching this, Mom, I love you. I used to live in an apartment off of 6th in Norton. Now, this area wasn't the most known for its gang activity, but towards my last couple of years living in K-Town, I was living on 8th and Kenmore. And anybody from Koreatown knows that's strictly MS territory. This was the apartment complex that I used to live at, and this was the window to my old unit. Now, if you look to the left, there's this abandoned apartment complex, and these are one of the infamous destroyers that MS and the local barrios use, or also known as bandos. MS and 18 love using these structures for all kinds of shit. House parties, illegal activities, whatever the case may be. And of course, against my better judgment, I went inside to check it out. It was basically just a thrashed interior with like graffiti all over the walls and ceilings. It's just a shit show in there. Anyway, while living at these apartments on 8th and Kenmore, I would always walk to this shopping plaza located on 8th and Oxford, because there was this liquor store there that sold single cigarettes. So needless to say, this was the spot. While walking to this plaza or liquor store, I would always pass this hotel located in between Kenmore and Fedora. And this was a known hangout for the Normandy Street Locos clique of MS. And I ran into this clique the most without a doubt. The first time I walked past this group, this short curly haired fool hits me with the, "Hey Chino, you know where you're at?" And I proceeded to tell him that I just moved into an apartment complex around the corner. And of course they hit me with the, "This is my hood right here, this is MS, dog," and started dissing all these Asian hoods and shit. And I just told him, "Hey bro, I don't gangbang," and I just kept it pushing. But I already knew this was gonna be a problem, so the next time I went to that liquor store, I chose to skate instead. And my stubborn ass never wanted to walk around up to 7th and then to Oxford to avoid the whole situation. And to be honest, I was hella impatient back then, and I still kinda am. So whenever I could save time, I definitely took it. I know what you're thinking. Yes, I was quite the dumbass back in the day. That's why I have a fucking felony and a strike on my record. But anyways, by the time I was living on 8th and Kenmore, I was already fucking with meth. And it wouldn't be long before my mom kicked me out of my apartment, and at this point, I was really selling it on the side to support my habit. One night, I was walking down the street, and I bumped into these two youngsters. Now, mind you, at the time, I was also a youngster, but these guys were looking for some Molly. And I told them, "I don't got any of that, but I got some shit." And they were down to cop a dub, so I served them a sack, kept it pushing, thinking everything was all good. But of course, nothing was all good. Flash forward a couple of weeks, and one of my homies that had a whip that day picked me up to go to the liquor store. And when we go to the store, I chose to wait in the car. Now, when my homie gets back in the car, he told me two Hispanic-looking dudes had hit him up asking if they knew an Asian cat that went by the name of Sergio. But my homie played dumb, came back into the car, and told me what happened. So at this point, I'm racking my brain, trying to figure out why these two dudes could be looking for me, or who these guys even are. And the only thing on my mind is the fact that I served some shit to those two youngsters in MS Hood a couple of weeks ago. So to this day, I still don't know for a fact if this was a setup, but looking back in hindsight, I have a lot of reasons why I believe I was being set up by MS. This Mexican chick texted me who went by Roxy, but she texted me out of nowhere. And I'm talking, we haven't spoken in a couple of months. And out of nowhere, she hits me up with the "what you doing" text and wanted to link up with me. Now, this struck me as strange because we were not close at all, and we only messed around one time. And I tried hitting her up afterwards, and she never responded. So that's why this text was strange to me. And it didn't help that I met her at a kickback in MS territory, is all I'm saying. So I told her I could meet her at the Ralph's on 3rd and Vermont. So we agreed to sometime in the afternoon, and the following day comes, instead of me going to the Ralph's, I went over to the Vons across the street. And the reason why I did that was because from the Vons, you could see the entire front of the Ralph's. Now, me being paranoid, I sat at the Vons parking lot looking at the Ralph's entrance to see if she actually showed up, because she texted me and said she was there, but I never saw her there. And at this point, I knew I had to get the fuck out of there. I hope that wasn't too confusing, but anyway. So after realizing that she wasn't gonna show up, I crossed the street. And as I'm crossing the street, I walked past these group of 2 or 3 youngsters. One dude had a skateboard, and I overheard one of them say, once we find that fool, we're just gonna pack him out. Now, I don't know if these guys were talking about me, but for all the reasons that I just told you, I have reasons to believe that these guys were there for me, but they just didn't recognize me as I was crossing the street. But I got out, did not get packed out, and believe it or not, I never really ran into MS after this, because it wouldn't be too long until I caught my residential burglary charge, and I started fighting that in the county. Kept getting probation violations when they let me out in rehab and all that shit, so I was already long gone. I'm surprised that I got by in the streets of Koreatown as long as I did, riding solo dolo. So needless to say, I made a lot of stupid ass mistakes, but I wouldn't have it any other way, because now I can tell you guys all of my stupid ass stories. But if you guys enjoyed today's video, leave the video a like, leave something in the comment sections below if you enjoyed it. But until next time, I'll be seeing you guys later. Peace!